How long do we have left to live? 5 days? 7 months? Or 95 years? Before we answer that, we need to understand how life itself changes. One of the first to dig into this question was a Greek scientist named Theodore. This dude dedicated his life to building models of humanity and analyzing mountains of data. So yeah, we can trust him. He was trying to find general patterns of systems to predict future events. His hypothesis sounds at least fascinating. He said, if you want to predict what's coming, you have to figure out the most important events from the past. So let's roll back, all the way to the Big Bang. 2024, the greatest YouTube channel. This one was created 19 years ago. YouTube.com made its grand debut on the internet 33 years ago. The internet was published 76 years ago. The first transistor was created, which is now used to make microchips. 240 years ago, the steam engine kicked off the Industrial Revolution, transforming the planet. 1445, a German dude, Gutenberg, invented the printing press, giving the masses access to knowledge. 508, the Greeks decided to try out democracy. Why? Who knows? Most people today don't seem to be using it anyway. 5,000 years ago, we got the wheel and writing, the foundation of all progress. 35,000 years ago, early humans started cave painting. No Instagram yet, but you still had to prove to your friends how you hunted the mammoth. 500,000 years ago, Homo sapiens showed up. Intelligent humans, also the word intelligent is still up for debate, they're the ones who started this whole civilization thing. 66 million years ago, dinosaurs died out after an asteroid hit. 400 million years ago, fish thought it would be cool to check out what's happening on land. 4 billion years ago, a single cell got bored and thought, let's evolve. 11 billion years ago, the Milky Way was born, named after a chocolate bar, obviously. And about 14 billion years ago, boom, the Big Bang happened. So dear Big Bang, thanks for that. Without you, none of this would exist, especially this video. But how long this project of yours will continue? Back in the day, what we now call computers were actually called calculating machines. And for the zoomers out there, let me break it down. It was basically a giant calculator that weighed 28 freaking tons, but could handle only 5,000 operations per second. It was so big that my granddad, who was programming this beast when he was young, slept inside for worms, because they run on vacuum tubes, not transistors. Basically a prehistoric way of processing data. What the fuck are transistors? So we've all heard about the microchip shortage that's been screwing with tech prices. Well, transistors are the little guys that make your phones, computers, cars, pretty much everything work. They're the muscle behind all modern electronics. And guess what? This chips shortage has skyrocketed the cost of cars, household appliances and even smartphones. All thanks to these tiny but powerful pieces of silicon. Almost every tech giant you know, Apple, Nvidia, AMD, they all rely on chips produced by one company, TSMC in Taiwan. That's right, one factory is a key cog in the world's entire technological machine. Without them, modern tech as we know it would just stop, like that. And this is why Taiwan is the ultimate pressure point between China and US. Spoiler alert, it's never been about defending democracy or any of that political garbage. It's all about who controls the chips. These chips don't just power your iPhone, they're the brains behind drones, missiles and all the other high-tech war toys. That's how the old bastards keep the world humming along, destroying bright and talented minds so that progress doesn't happen so fast. If you thought that I was just telling you that we are gonna get fucked up by a missile with a high-tech chip, guess what? You're wrong. What I really want is to blow your mind with some wild numbers. In 1965, Gordon Moore, co-founder of Intel, dropped a little bombshell in an article. This guy didn't just predict the future, he nailed it. He said microprocessors would spark insane innovations, like home computers, self-driving cars and personal portable communication devices. Electronic wristwatches only lack a display to become a reality. Dude was basically staring 60 years into the future. In addition, he formulated a pattern that will be called a Moore's Law. He noticed that about every 2 years, the number of transistors on a chip doubles. He did not plan to be remembered in history as a forecaster and made a prediction only 10 years ahead, but his observation has been working for 60 years. Again, transistors are those tiny little switches that conduct electricity and do all the work of a chip. The more of them on one chip, the more operations the device can perform, and the faster it works. So here's the deal. Moore's Law says that every time the number of transistors doubles, processors get more powerful, while the chips themselves shrink and get cheaper. That means for the same price you're getting double the performance. Fast forward a few decades and we have gone from giant room-filling computers to the sleek little supercomputers in our pockets. Yep, I'm talking about your smartphone. When Moore first dropped this knowledge, he thought it would only stay relevant for 10 years max. Why? Because it seemed like we were about to hit a wall, like there was a limit to how small things could get. But engineers keep finding new ways to fit even more transistors onto these tiny chips. Like for real, modern smartphone processors have billions of of transistors on a single chip. Think about that for a second. Billions of tiny switches all doing their thing on a chip the size of fingernail. Mind blown. But here's where it gets tricky. People are starting to say that Moore's law might be hitting the brakes, because these transistors are now so small that we are running out of space to shrink them any further. But hold up, does it mean progress stops? No, scientists and engineers are already preparing the next big thing. Quantum computing, neuromorphic chips, and other mind-bending tech that could take over when Moore's law taps out. Moore's little observation didn't just change the game, it became the game. It's the foundation of everything, from your gaming PC and smartphone to AI and even space exploration. Let's shake up the gray matter a little bit. You're going to solve Moore's problem. Imagine we're a chip factory that has made a deal with Volkswagen. Volkswagen has placed an order for microchips, and we can produce 2 chips a day. So how many chips will we make in 10 days? That's right, 20. It looks like this: 2 on the first day, 4 on the second day, and so on. Remember school, it's called linear growth. And if we get an order for 1024 chips, how many days do we need? A little bit more complicated. Okay, good. 512 days. Let's say we get some extra cash, and suddenly we are doubling production every single day. So now the pattern looks like this: 2, 4, 8, 16 chips a day. How long do you think it would take to produce the same 1024 chips? Okay, it's hard without a calculator. I'll give you a hint. On day 9 we are already halfway there. So when can we close out the order? If you guessed the next day, congrats Einstein. Drop a comment below to show off your brain power. Turns out, with this doubling magic, we hit 1024 chips by day 10. And that's how the game changes. When things start accelerating too fast, the straight line bends, turning into an exponential curve. Each step becomes way more powerful than the last. So instead of 512 days, you are done in just 10. And why the fuck do you need this information, you might ask? Well, here's why. Understanding exponential growth is crucial if you want to understand when humanity will end its existence. Now, let's scale this up to the big picture. Let's substitute the graph of major events that we did earlier. Good that someone else already did the math. A guy named Raymond Kurzweil. He took a look at all the major events and charted them out. And when you take the logarithmic scale off the x-axis, you get a much clearer view of what's happening. So Raymond looked at the graph and basically said, that's it, fuck it, civilization is developing exponentially, humans will be replaced by robots, artificial intelligence will take over the world, and changes will be so fast that humans won't be able to understand and adapt. All this shit is leading us straight to one point, what he called the technological singularity. This smart guy got so excited about the whole idea that he didn't stop there. First, he drops a book called The Singularity is Near, then goes on to create the Singularity University. But here's where it gets even crazier. He gathered other smart dudes, and together they come up with a formula. This is exactly the date when all living things must die and infinity begins. Attentive subscribers have already noticed that it is 2029. Well, don't worry. According to scientists, passing through the point of technological singularity does not necessarily mean the end of humanity. It could actually be the moment when we level up as a civilization. Yeah, global catastrophe is one possibility, but it's just one of many. And don't take this year too seriously. No one knows exactly how the singularity will unfold in 2024. It could mean the complete replacement of jobs by artificial intelligence, with super intelligence guiding the human progress. Or maybe we'll unlock some insane achievements in space exploration. Or even a solution to one of humanity's biggest problems: death itself.